Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni, the Chief Editor at CIO News, and your host for today's discussion. This is an exclusive interview series on the topic of digital evolution of India's financial sector. It is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. It is my pleasure to invite my guest for today. We have Ayaskant Mohapatra, the Chief Information Officer at BOB Financial Solutions. Ayaskant needs no introduction, but I'm going to take a few minutes to do that. Ayaskant has more than 2 decades of experience, having worked with various brands such as Yes Securities, Access Securities, HSBC Invest Direct, ILFS E-Trade Financials, Motilal Oswal, and many more. Ayaskant is a very dynamic and accomplished professional with extensive experience in handling application software products, planning for infrastructure setup for financial institutes like capital market, institutional broking, uh, retail broking, NBFC, insurance, banking, and mutual funds. Right from setting up infrastructure for running the core business and expanding the horizon, including the branch setup. He's managed IT setup through in-house team as well as outsourced and model to have the business solution in a very cost-effective way. Um, Askant has good hands-on experience for startups and managing acquisitions as well. Askant, it's a pleasure to have you on CIO News once again, and thank you so much for coming on this platform to have this conversation with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Khushbu. Thank you for giving a brief and long introduction. I'm honored. Thank
Great, fantastic. I'm also accompanied by Anurag Mathur. Anurag is the Associate Vice President and Sales Head for the BFSI industry from Tata Communications. Anurag leads the BFSI vertical at Tata Communications. In this role, he has been involved in establishing the Tata Communications as preferred technology partner for the BFSI enterprises in India. He's also responsible for the design and the execution of Tata Communications go-to-market strategy for the BFSI vertical. Anurag has been with Tata Communications for more than 18 years. And in this time, he has played an integral role in building various portfolios across the breadth of technology infrastructure. Anurag, a pleasure to have you and looking forward to this interaction with you.
Thank you.
All right. So to begin with, I just want to give a context of our discussion. It's about the topic that we spoke, which is digital evolution of India's financial sector. So with that, I would like to put across, my first question to Ayaskant. When we look at digital transformation journeys, the most players in the financial space converses around cloud and security, and we see that going hand in hand. How are you leveraging the cloud for better operational efficiency, the agility and resilience, and also, while ensuring a secure ecosystem?
you. Yeah, thanks, Khushbu. I'll just take this question little two part of it.
Yeah.
I'll just first say that what is the era, what you are in life kind of thing. We're era of digital. So there is earlier it was a kind of fit to nice to have kind of thing, but nowadays there's no choice. If I'm not kind of those kind of footprints or not thinking that align, so you are struggling in your business or you might be someday you're out of the business, right? So that's the way to do the business. So this is not being a choice. This now has to be mandatory kind of thing. We need to do it, right? Second part is the digital experience, the digital era is more into giving the experience, right? It's more towards you talk about what you give and how smoothly this can be passed to or sailed through. That is what the experience what we carry, and that's the success of digital initiative or digital anything you can talk about digitization model. So that should happen. Leveraging this cloud and security is kind of I can say this is the two side of one coin, particularly you cannot leave this or go with one, and you cannot might be saying this I'll ignore this one, I might focus something else. No, cannot be doing that one. Security is first one. The moment you call digitization is more data, the informations and kind of It could be personal information, personal PI data you talk about in financial industry, or it could be a kind of any data what belongs to customer, which we as a custodian need to own it. So everything comes under security. So that is one part of it. Why cloud and security both together? Because cloud gives us agility, flexibility, and go to market faster.
Right.
The way these things getting set up in the environment, if you now talk about any kind of fintechs, right? So they are very early adopter of the cloud. Might be two reasons. They don't have any legacy and they are more into new way of managing the technology. Probably the larger banks or might be the other NBFC organizations, they have little legacy and they are bound by some regulators. So they're taking a step back to calculate and coming forward. That might be the little delay, but that is going to little bit delay, but they have to go and they are going forward to the cloud. With the mixed approach, what we do and we do for our clients on this side, we have a mixed approach in this side. It's not that entire thing on the cloud. Yes, we are little protective kind of thing, and then few points we are very kind of little reluctant to go on this side. And those information we hold ourselves, plus the experience part of it and the agility part of it, that is on the cloud. If I say my front end, my kind of interface for the customer is interactive, that is cloud based. The moment I store the KYC information, that is I am managing in house. That is the era we are in, kind of thing. On the security part, obviously, that is the part what I mentioned that we need to go for that. Yes, every industry, every player is evaluating that one, how the security and how do we prove those security measures have been maintained and measured in the cloud. So that's what might be little ahead or material step we need to take forward so that that is giving ease and give everybody confidence to manage both together and just to move on these days. That's my say on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Askan, for sharing the insights on this. Um, Anurag, you've been in this industry, catering to the BFSI industry for the last 18 years through Tata Communications. Based on your experience of working, with some of the biggest Indian banks in the public and private sector, along with the customers across the larger BFSI landscape, what trends do you see evolving in the market from the perspective of cloud adoption and its impact in their larger business?
Yeah, so in fact, what we are seeing and the kind of disruptive technological transformation that we are witnessing in the banks specifically and BFSI at large is phenomenal. And what we see is that cloud has been the integral part of this transformation. And as Akskan mentioned, that some of the areas why enterprises in the BFSI space are looking for cloud is largely about the agility and the auto scalability in the business, which is needed now, which is more needed as the consumer behavior is also changing. The buying patterns are also changing. So that is sort of making a lot of BFSI enterprises to look at more adoption of cloud. That's one big move and shift which we are seeing. The second area which we are also witnessing is around the cost part of it. So what organizations are realizing that by moving workloads on cloud, they are all reducing. One is the infrastructural cost, what they are incurring by keeping the data and the compute environment in-house, and also on the operational efficiencies, which are coming as a result of moving on to the cloud. So these are some of the important benefits, as Khan mentioned, about the speed to market. So if you want to launch a new product and reach to the market faster, that's where edge computing and a cloud model really helps to enable that. Right. As Tata Communications, we are also into providing cloud services on a public cloud offering as well as a private cloud offering. We also have created some of the community cloud services around government and BFSI specifically. So what we look at and tell our customers and when while they're moving and going as a cloud on the cloud strategy is to see what kind of business value they want to derive by moving a certain workload on the cloud. So that is one important part because that's the core of why you're moving on the cloud. So if you are identified what value you want to drive, that's the time you can look at what technology and which partner you should be looking at. The other part is obviously in the BFSI space is the regulator environment. It's a regulated environment. So what are the RBI or the regulator or the IRDA norms which are governing largely the BFSI sector, guiding you in terms of what can and what kind of cloud adoption can these organizations do. So that is another area which we talk to our customers. Obviously, the third part is being the cost, the scalability, performance. These are the other parameters. Some of the use cases which we are seeing specifically emerging out of this industry is around data analytics, because now all these organizations are sitting with the voluminous data, and how to analyze it for a meaningful business outcome is something which is doable more on cloud than rather than processing all that information in-house. So that is one use case which we see. The other use case is around the data storage, because again, the regulators are looking at the data to be stored for a certain duration of time, and that's becoming again huge in volumes. So data storage, keeping the data storage, the archival data typically on the cloud, really helps to bring down the cost for many of these enterprises and then the sector. So these are some of the important areas that we are looking at from a cloud perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you for giving us industry insights, Anurag. Askan, with so much more competition coming in this space, how are you dealing with the competition from the new age born in the cloud players? One of the key areas of focus across the industries has been delivering a cutting edge customer experience to the customers. So, how have you kind of formulated your digital game plan to deal with industry changes and disruptions?
I'll just take this forward what Anurag just mentioned about that the storage and the compute part of it. That to have those kind of advantages to drive our sales, might be business, whatever industry you are in, might be servicing industry, whatever you are in. Analytics is very key now, right? You need to analyze the pattern, and you need to analyze the behavior, and you need to predict the model what customer is looking for. Then the success story is there, and now each and every customer need what kind of a tap on their backside that yeah, I'm there for you. The moment you lose that connect, so customer is always move somewhere else. I see being the digital way, there might be a very negative thought in the mind. There is no more loyalty kind of thing I see. There's a losing of the loyalty. Now, e-com player, you talk about anywhere you touch, there is a benefit and more service happening, customer is inclined towards that. That means you need to be always ahead of the curve, and always you need what the customer wants. There is no era gone that you have the things customer was looking for you. Now you need to see what customer is looking for. Then you have to serve that way. So keeping this, and the analytics is very key for that. You need to understand the pattern behavior. And the cloud is helping definitely on that, to having the big volume of data processing very quicker and faster, and the scalability part of it. Those part already I'm a big user for that. That's what I'm saying. Like I have already used those and understood the power of that one. So my analytics is and data I'm getting virtualized, and then calculating and analytics come back to the modeling. And I say, hey, business, this is what you need to do for it, and this is what it looks like, trends, kind of thing. So the pattern analysis is given to the business, and they drive the marketing spends, campaigns, whatever kind of thing, service oriented kind of thing. And that's why we always keep it close on the customer side. This is what we are there for you, right? What do you want kind of thing. And looking at the competitions, I will say that always now the digital era is more to experience. What you create as experience. The 5G kind of things coming into the world, so the internet is now no more as a kind of a earlier it was a bottleneck kind of thing. People are using 2G network is not available there. So now everybody has smartphones and smart devices, right? So 5G coming out, all this digital adoption will be much more going faster. That's what my prediction. And what are the currently, suppose they're talking about 40 to 49% of digitization. I see in a year it will be jumping around more than 60 to 70%. The 5G will help us to speed those kind of and giving better experience to the user, and that is what going to help on this side. And obviously cloud is going to provide your compute and time to market. Again, I see storage plus the security one in motion in the storage is there, always the offerings are started. So I think with this combination of network of coming out the internet of speeds and kind of thing, and on the cloud side, definitely going to.
Right. I think there's a rapid digitization that we've been seeing across the financial landscape. And in fact, with what you mentioned, and we've been discussing the experience, consumer grade experience is now expected even across the B2B transactions to be, app. So, Anurag, how do you see the shift across the BFSI spectrum evolving, and how is Tata Communications enabling this?
This is again a very important thing that we are seeing again over the last 3 years, and obviously the pandemic has sort of brought a momentum into it in terms of looking at the customer experience as an overall journey. So in that, what we are looking at is that what organizations have started looking at, do they have a 360-degree view of what a customer is engaging? How is he engaging? So we have been looking at scenarios where you are interacting with a customer on a particular channel, and then you shift from one channel to another channel, the journey breaks. And that's one problem area which most of the BFSI organizations are a bit of struggling, and I should say they are trying to fix that part of the problem, because customers are looking for a frictionless journey. So if I, as a consumer of a bank or any financial institution, I'm reaching out to say to my provider through say a email, and then I move to say I reach to an agent on a phone line, then does he have that he or her have that view of what I have communicated on an email? So this is what we are seeing. So the omni-channel approach is something which is becoming a necessity now to give a frictionless service to the consumer. That's one area which we are seeing. And if you see the rise of fintechs have taken a bit of lead in providing some of these services, and that's the reason why they are more emerging and being more successful than the traditional institutions which were not having some of these agility to serve the customers. So that's a big shift that we are seeing. At Tata Communications, what we are doing is we have come out with a unique proposition, which is a customer engagement interaction platform, which enables some of these integrations in terms of how do you integrate various channels. And then eventually when an agent looks at a customer, he can see the full view of all the communications that you must have done through the various channels. That is one part of this problem that we are solving. The other area is like today, consumers are going on a website and trying to interact with the chatbots, and most of the organizations have chatbots on their website. But when you are interacting there and you get stuck on a particular transaction, then how do you reach to the agent directly from that chatbot conversation? If you want to have a real-time conversation with an agent on an audio or a video channel, is that enabled? So that is something, again, at Tata Communications, we are enabling many of the FSI customers to enable that integration. So these are a lot of things which are happening here. So hyper-personalization is something which is becoming a very important tool today for FSIs to reach out to their customers. And that's what we are at Tata Communications enabling.
Got it. Thanks, Anurag. You had mentioned about compliance and regulatory in my first question to you, Anurag. So taking a lead from there, Ayaskant, with increasing focus on compliance and regulatory framework in the NBFC segment, how are you trying to strike a balance between ease of doing business, the simplicity of lending, and maintaining the quality of the portfolio?
Yeah, Khushbu, I'll just take this one. Compliance I never see as a challenge. Compliance always I compare with the brake in the car, right? It gives you a control to drive your business in a regulated environment, so that it's not regulatory is not penalizing you because improving compliance is kind of thing. They are giving you guidance and protecting your business and protecting you in future. That you take that way. Any compliance changes is always welcome because there's a reason behind why you are doing it. Might be realization is not that great in the initial stage, but later you realize what is meant for. It's like items thing. For example, if there's a rule in the road, something left side, if you go by walking, the cars has to go 80 speed, the next 120 speed, the right speed. If there is no lane discipline, what will happen? Anybody can drive on any lane and the accident will happen, bound to happen. There is no control. So now there's a guidance happen that everybody has to follow the rule. So everybody has the mind that is the rule to be followed. That's why we make ourselves disciplined. So I see in that way. Yes, obviously the compliance when the new things comes out, that create little hesitance or might be inner process, some changes is always required. Recently, examples coming out. Earlier, CKYC was treated as one of the KYC document customer guarantee plan. The new guidelines coming out, the CKYC might not be treated as a physical KYC. So the guideline doesn't mean that it is a discouraging kind of CKYC, but yes, the regulator said take another steps to verify whether this information is right or wrong. So that gives you two-way kind of thing to go more into and change your process, fine-tune the process. Yes, I am always on top of that. So my digital lending, my digital model are configured such a way that tomorrow, if I have this, then we need to see that what easy way to reach out to customer. Instead of discouraging that you cannot do it, yes, say yes. If you do this, there is another two-step you need to follow. But if you do this, there's the simplest way to move forward. Then up to the customer what he choose. I don't deprive the customer the way he want to do his kind of verification or the registration. Similarly, my part is that I need to drive my digital initiative, digital lending process so smooth so that I don't bother the customer too much. I take the information at his point and try to evaluate what they given based on the UT guidelines. I focus more into the backend integration of digitization, what we call lot of APIs now available. Instead of asking customer all the information, you can verify all the information with a consent from the customers. So that is more way where fintechs are helping. Probably that is the era we need to move on so that the experience to the digital journey is always smooth for the customer without giving a pain.
Fantastic. I think this has been a great conversation today. Before we kind of end the discussion, Ayaskant, you've highlighted your best practices of going about with the dynamic changes that we've been seeing in the sector. Anurag, you've shared your experiences working with different enterprises in the BFSI sector. My one last question to you both, maybe we start with Ayaskant and then Anurag. You can add any last pointers for our viewers from this space that you would like to share as a one last point.
I'll say the change is always a things. It's a constant thing. What I can say.
Yeah.
As soon as we adopt the change, it's better for all of us, and the country will progress. We all will progress.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anurag, any last pointers from your side?
So last comment from my side in that sense will be like there's a lot of things happening in the tech space, in the BFSI space. What we have been looking at is what is the business benefit. So if that objective is clear to you, then you can make a right choice, because it's not necessary that as mentioned, that every shoes fits every size. So it's like that's where you need to be clear in your mind what end objective you want to drive from any change or any transformation that enterprises are doing for their organizations today.
Right. All right. Thank you so much once again for joining us on CIO News and sharing your expertise and learnings with our viewers. Thank you.